Most players that come into the NBA don't dominate from the jump. In fact, a majority of them take at least a year before they fully figure out their role on a team. Getting integrated into the NBA game takes time, which is why, as a rule of thumb, you should never write anyone off after their rookie years and call them a bust. That brings us to the topic of today's video, where I will be discussing 5 second-year players that are in for big seasons this year. These players aren't obvious picks, however, as I excluded most of the players that had great rookie seasons and got a lot of national recognition last year. This includes players like Ben Simmons, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, Kyle Kuzma, Dennis Smith Jr., and a few others. I also didn't include Markelle Fultz in this list because I already made an entire video about him for this upcoming year, which will be linked in the description. Before I start though, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as all support is very much appreciated. Now, with that being said, let's begin. The first player up on this list is Malik Monk of the Charlotte Hornets. Monk was selected 11th overall in the 2017 draft coming out of Kentucky, and he became a lottery pick because he was seen as one of the best scorers in the entire draft class at the time. During his lone season at Kentucky, he averaged nearly 20 points per game, coming up just short at 19.8 per game. He was also a very efficient scorer, even with the volume of shots he was taking. He shot 39.7% from 3 that year, while taking 6.9 threes per game, which is very impressive based on the amount of attempts he had. He was taken by the Hornets in the draft, and at the time, many people around the league expected him to be Kemba Walker's partner in the team's backcourt, but that's not exactly how the season went. He didn't start a single game during his rookie season, which is odd seeing as the Hornets were out of the playoff hunt fairly early in the season. When coming off the bench, he was given decent minutes to start the year, but eventually he became an afterthought and disappeared at times. During his first 11 games of the year, he played over 20 minutes in 7 of those games. After that, he only played more than 20 minutes in 1 of the team's next 54 games. I obviously don't know what was happening behind the scenes, but from the outside looking in, it appears as though Monk never really got a real chance to show what he could do last year. This season, the Hornets have a new head coach, which means that Monk has a fresh start in a new system. He's also a year older, and as is the case with most players, the transition from being a rookie to a second-year player helps in a big way. Monk showed improvement in this year's Summer League, putting up 23 points in the only game he played in. If he can carry that confidence over and show his new coach that he can score the ball how he's capable of scoring it, then he should have a much bigger role this season. Up next on the list is Jonathan Isaac of the Orlando Magic. Isaac was the 6th pick in the 2017 draft coming out of Florida State because he was seen as the prospect with the highest defensive ceiling that year. He's 6'11" with a 7'1" wingspan, and his versatility on the defensive end is matched only by very few other players in the league. Additionally, he has the size of most power forwards and centers, yet can also play small forward on both ends of the floor. Isaac, like Monk, didn't quite have the rookie season that Magic fans were hoping for, but for a different reason. He injured his ankle early on in the season and dealt with stiffness and pain in that ankle for the rest of the season. Because of these injury troubles, he only played in 27 games during his rookie year. Additionally, because he was fighting through these injury issues, he was never really at 100% health during the year, so his production on the court in the games that he did play in were not great. He struggled on the offensive end of the floor, only averaging 5.4 points per game while shooting 38%. But the impressive part about his season was that he was still able to create a good amount of turnovers on the defensive end of the floor. He averaged 1.1 blocks per game and 1.2 steals per game, which made him one of just 11 players that year that averaged at least 1 block and steal per game during the season. The reason that I believe he is due to bounce back and have a very good season this year is that he is now back to 100% health, has been putting on weight, and will have an expanded role on the team. In Summer League, he showed off just how good his defensive instincts are as he was blocking shots and protecting the rim at a high level. His jumper is also coming along, and while it is still a work in progress, it will be a serviceable tool for him this season. Overall, him and rookie Mo Bamba are going to create a very scary frontcourt on the defensive end of the floor this season. The next player up on this list is OG Anunoby of the Toronto Raptors. Anunoby was taken 23rd overall in the 2017 draft, and the only reason he fell that far is because he injured his knee in college and got surgery on it, which ended his college season, and he was still recovering from it at the time of the draft. Had he been healthy, there was a good chance he would have been a lottery pick, but now he is in the perfect situation for himself on the Raptors. When he got back to full strength and began playing for Toronto, he embraced the role of being a 3-and-D player and earned the starting small forward spot fairly quickly. He wasn't asked to do too much, as the majority of the offense ran through DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry, but he did his job well. For the most part, he was put into the corners to spot up or cut to the basket, and that's exactly what he did. 96% of his shot attempts came from either the three-point line or at the basket, which is any analytics guy's dream. This season, I can see him playing a much bigger role now that DeMar DeRozan is on the Spurs. The Raptors replaced him with Kawhi Leonard, who plays much more within the flow of the offense, so it's reasonable to expect the Raptors' offense to feature a lot more ball movement. Additionally, Kawhi Leonard is someone that OG has been compared to as a young player, so now being able to learn from someone who went from being a 3-and-D player to a superstar player should greatly benefit his development. With those two players defending opposing teams' wings, it's going to be very difficult to score on the Raptors next season. The next player up is John Collins of the Atlanta Hawks. Collins was the 19th pick in the 2017 draft and was a bit of an unknown at the time because of the lack of coverage his college Wake Forest got throughout the year. He put up huge numbers on Wake Forest during his sophomore season, averaging 19.2 points and 9.8 rebounds per game, but the team didn't make the NCAA tournament and were subpar in the ACC. When he started playing for the Hawks, he found himself again in a very similar scenario, once again flying under the radar because of him being on a bad team. The Hawks had the worst record in the Eastern Conference, so subsequently they didn't get much coverage. Collins, however, actually put together a solid season for himself as a rookie. He averaged 10.5 points and 7.3 rebounds per game while shooting 57.6% from the field, which was actually the third best mark among all rookies. He excelled in pick and rolls, finished around the basket very well, and used his athleticism to become a dangerous above-the-basket threat. His jump shot has always been a work in progress, but in this year's Summer League it looked a lot more fluid and he had a lot more confidence in it. For this upcoming season, I can see that production from Summer League translating over, and he should have a much more diverse offensive game, which should then see his numbers rise. Additionally, the Hawks once again will not be a very good team this year, so he will be getting plenty of opportunities to shine, and he should be one of point guard Trae Young's favorite targets. The final player up on this list is De'Aaron Fox of the Sacramento Kings. Fox was the 5th pick in the 2017 draft after one very good season at Kentucky alongside Malik Monk. Fox became notorious for lighting up Lonzo Ball in the NCAA tournament, and his quickness, on-ball defense, and athleticism were on full display in that matchup. Fox had a very up-and-down rookie season, where in some games he looked like a very promising point guard, and in other games would struggle mightily. That, however, is normal for rookie guards. It is extremely rare for rookie guards to come into the league as rookies and consistently produce at a high level. Because of the position they play and the responsibility of running the team's offense, point guards typically take longer to adjust. The one area that Fox stood out in the most constantly throughout the year was his ability to take over games in crunch time and deliver in the clutch. He hit several game winners and buzzer beaters throughout the season, showing that he's not afraid of any moment, which is exactly the kind of mindset you want your team's leader to have. For this season, I expect Fox to become a bit more consistent in the areas that he was inconsistent in, such as shooting threes, and if he can approach the league average mark from 3, then it will make defenders respect him from the perimeter, which would then create more driving opportunities where he can put his speed and athleticism to use. The Kings will probably not be very good again this year, so he will get to play a lot of minutes and produce much more than he did a year ago. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video, and stay tuned for more videos in the future as I do upload every single week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next video.